Welcome to From the Shed End podcast with myself, T.Dot. As always, thank you very much for joining me. A very downbeat, deflated T.Dot this morning after the Chelsea match last night. Real Madrid 2, Chelsea 3, which results in Chelsea going out of the Champions League and not progressing to the semi-finals. Before we get into the match, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the Spotify channel as well that we've got. Our podcast, episode 59, came out earlier this week, where we talk about Real Madrid performance in the first leg. We also talk about the Southampton game and also preview the Real Madrid game that took place last night. We will have episode 60 out later this week, but make sure you subscribe to all of those socials as well that you can see at the top of the page as well. But let's get straight into it, because of course, you know, probably arguably the best performance I've witnessed in my time as a Chelsea fan. You know, the comeback that was almost impossible nearly happened, but it just wasn't meant to be, you know. And I think it's difficult because I think, you know, all the players that played last night over that 90-minute period, you know, all of them put in a performance that was just, it was excellent, you know, it really was, you know. And you can't really fault any of the players. You can't fault Thomas Tuchel to an extent. You know, I thought he got the lineup really spot on. You know, if you go back to the first leg, you know, I think Christensen was playing right centre back, and was just being cooked by Vinicius at every opportunity. So I think having Reece James there, you know, worked. I thought Ruben Loftus-Cheek kind of playing that right wing back and almost drifting into central midfield at times as well worked. You know, worked the channels really well. Him and Alonso. It was poor performances, I think, in the first leg that cost us in the second leg last night. And you know, you think back to, you know, the chance that Mendy, the clearance that Mendy should have just got rid of, and you know, cost us the goal. You think about that chance that Lukaku had as well. You know, they're things that came back to haunt us, and I think that is an ifs and buts moment, because I think if we did go on to score, if we went to win the first leg, I can probably assure you that Real Madrid don't sit back as much as they did last night. They would have been, you know, coming for blood in that game last night as well. So I think, you know, the fact that they, you know, people will say that, you know, we should have taken our chances in the first leg. I agree with that 100%, but I do think the setup from Real Madrid would have been completely different, you know, had we gone on to win that first leg, or we drew the first leg. You know, Real Madrid were in a position where they could kind of sit back and allow and invite the pressure that they didn't cope with at all in last night's game. So, you know, we started it really well. You know, I was impressed with Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Mason Mount. You know, all three of them worked really well up front together. And I mean, Kai Havertz, of course, but Timo Werner, look, I've criticised him. I know a lot of Chelsea fans have criticised Timo Werner over the last, you know, couple of months or so, but he's proven in the last two games that he has got some quality in him. And, you know, I personally, I said on episode 59 of From the Shed End, which you can listen to on Spotify and Apple Podcast as well. I did say on episode 59 that I wouldn't start Timo Werner. And, you know, he proved a lot of other Chelsea fans that potentially wouldn't have started him wrong. You know, he done very well. You know, the runs that he was making off the ball, you know, it was causing both centre-backs for Real Madrid issues and problems as well. So, you know, he done really well for me. And, you know, the goal, Mason Mount's goal goes in. It's 1-0. You're almost believing that we can do this now. And, you know, we maintain that pressure throughout the game for 90 minutes. I thought, you know, I thought Kovacic was brilliant. You know, the energy, the passing, the movement from Kovacic was brilliant as well. Same with Kante in spells. It's a difficult one to take, because, you know, I think we honestly played out of our skins. You know, we left everything on the pitch. You know, we battled really hard. I think a lot of people after the game, and, you know, rightfully so, mentioned the referee and the ref himself. It's a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas, you know, ifs and buts. I think for me, yes, the ref was poor, 100%, but I think he was poor for Chelsea. I think he was poor for Real Madrid. You know, I think just the officiating in its whole entirety, you know, in everything that happened in that game, you know, there were some things that did go against us. There were things that went for us. You know, you look at the Rudiger goal. You know, it doesn't touch Modric as it goes out for a corner. Yes, VAR can't look at that, but surely the referee, his angle, he should be able to see that. the linesman's there as well. There's two people that should be able to see that hasn't touched Modric. So there's also an opportunity, I think, when I think it was Vinicius was through. Ruben Loftus-Cheek goes down. It was a soft foul for me, but at the end of the day, the referee was poor. You shouldn't. I mean, I don't know why he booked Azpilicueta. I'm not sure why he booked Thomas Tuchel. So I think he lost his cool. He was very happy to throw out the yellow card as much as he could. Havertz potentially might have had a penalty as well, but there are a lot of ifs and buts. I think, overall, I still think we had enough on the pitch on the night to be able to go through. We were just very, very unlucky that there was a lapse in concentration for both goals, really. And you think back to the first goal, I think it's Kante. He's trying to chip the ball to Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and it's just a lapse in concentration. I think for me, Kante, and I said it a couple of weeks ago or maybe last week, he hasn't been the Kante that we know he can be. And it was just very unlike Kante again. Is it tiredness? We don't know, but you could see there was a lot of legs out there that were tired. There was a lot of players that over that 90-minute period, they were looking very tired. You look at Alonso, you look at Reece James as the game went on. Vinicius was getting a bit more space, was turning him inside out. Same with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Kovacic as well, Werner. I mean, the goal that they scored, the first goal, and credit to Carlo Ancelotti, because his subs worked a treat in the game last night. He came on and they made a difference. But the goal that they scored, that first one, the mistake from Kante, brilliant ball from Modric. We have to credit Real Madrid for that, and the fact that they've gone through. But the ball from Modric is world class. It's a world class pass, takes out the defense. And Rodrigo, who literally just comes on the pitch, is composed and scores the goal. But the Benzema goal again, this is why it's clinical for, they've got a number 9 that is very clinical, just needs a couple of chances. He had an earlier chance where I think he hits the crossbar. But that the second one was just, the second goal was the nail in the coffin. It was the one that took the wind out of Chelsea. It's difficult to take. It really is. It's hard to sit here and talk positively about arguably one of the best performances I've seen of Chelsea, because we go out the Champions League. We work hard for 120 minutes and we've got nothing to show for it at the end apart from, pride. And I think for many Chelsea fans, it's disappointing not to go through, but I think we can take a plus from this, that we've seen, Timo Werner playing very, very well. Obviously Kovacic, we know what he can do. And like I said earlier, Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Alonso playing down the channels was brilliant as well. It's just disheartening to know that we won't progress now. And obviously you look at the way that the Champions League is panning out, Bayern Munich going out, Liverpool almost look like they're 1 foot into the final already. It would have been if we progressed beyond Man City, if we went through, it would have made for a brilliant final. But I do think Thomas Tuchel has to take a lot of credit. I do question the subs, but when you look at the bench, there isn't anyone else really you could have brought on. I think Timo Werner was probably a mistake. I think I look at Timo Werner and the way that he played. The game did change when Pulisic was entered into the game, and it just changed the dynamic of our attacking. He had 2 brilliant chances as well. For me, he should be scoring at least one of them. And I think not to get any of them on target, it kind of tells me that Pulisic, who's been here for 3 years, we need a bit more from him as well. Obviously, Kai Havertz had a brilliant chance as well, almost an open header. Hakim Ziyech, I think, had another brilliant chance at the end. Chose to shoot, potentially should have passed the ball into the box. And obviously Jorginho as well. Jorginho, who kind of snatched at his last-ditch chance at the end of the game. So we had chances. We can talk about the referee. We can talk about the handball to Alonso, which it's hard to accept, but it's one of the rules of the game. If it touches your hand and you go on to score, then it's handball. But a couple of years ago, we wouldn't have been saying it's handball. It would have just been a goal that was given. So I don't think it's the ref, in my opinion, for the disallowed goal for Alonso. I think it's the rule itself that just needs looking at, and just a bit of common sense needs to be applied to that. But it's a hard one to take. I'm going to quickly go through. I won't go through all the team, but I just want to go through and show you guys my player ratings, who I felt played really well. I think Mason Mount got the the man of the match, the official Chelsea one. But for me, it was Mateo Kovacic. I thought he played really well. And again, without the tired legs, I think he would have stayed on. But you could see as the game progressed, and at one point, you almost think Tuchel's now thinking about Sunday already. He's thinking, who am I going to be able to rest and not play on Sunday, which is still a massive game. It's our only chance now of silverware this season. So, I've gave the ones that would stand out to me. Obviously, you look at Kante, who I've given him a 5, but that's down to the fact that he did lose the ball quite, I think 13, 14 times. He lost possession, which is unlike Kante. We know that he's normally the one that holds that midfield together, and does a lot of that leg work as well. For me, like I said, Timo Werner, I think just justifies at 8. Same with Mason Mount. I thought Alonso, unsung hero. I think Alonso, he gets criticism a lot for potentially not being what we expect him to be. But when it's big moments, big games, he does turn up. He done that last night as well. I thought he played amazing. Same with Ruben Loftus-Cheek again. Like I said, playing a right wing back position, not in his natural position, showed the strength, the quality, put in a very good, put in a lot of good crosses for the front three. It's just unfortunate. I think as the game progressed, you could see that Ruben Loftus-Cheek was getting a bit more tired, and I potentially would have brought him off earlier. Maybe at that point when we go 3-0 up, I potentially would have swapped Reece James and maybe brought on Azpilicueta in that role, maybe just for the experience, maybe just to fresh legs. And Azpilicueta isn't the fastest, but I think for the experience, I would have brought him on there. Not to say that it would have changed anything, but I just think, put Reece James right wing back and then put Azpilicueta right centre back. That would have been my only change at that time when we go 3-0 up. But it wasn't meant to be. It just wasn't meant to be. Mendy as well. I think for the Rodrigo goal, I'm being critical, but I do think he could have potentially saved that one. I think he could get down and potentially save that. Maybe the speed of the pass, the weight of the pass, and just not reacting to it quick enough. But I think, for me personally, he should be trying to save that one, and he doesn't. It almost looks like he's going to go across goal, and he goes near post. So it is for me. Disappointing performance probably from Mendy and Kante if I had to pick out 2. But I thought, Rudiger, Silva, Reece James, Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, all played well. I do think the subs came on and changed the game, but for the wrong reasons. Saul Niguez coming on didn't really have an impact. Same with Jorginho and Pulisic as well. I just didn't think those 3 subs really had too much of an involvement in the game, maybe because of the time that they came on. But I just felt once Timo Werner came out the picture, which is ironic for me to say, things did change, and it didn't change for the good. So Carlo Ancelotti, Real Madrid, they got their subs spot on. But for us, it was just one of those games, that we just didn't take our chances that we needed to take. Yes, we scored 3 goals, but if you look at when we needed a goal, extra time, deep into stoppage time, we had 3 or 4 chances, we didn't take them, and that's just the way that the cookie crumbles. So you've got to take those chances. Real Madrid took theirs. They didn't need that many chances, but when they got them, they took them. So I think that was just the difference on the night. Like I said, a massive game on Sunday. We have to try and go out there and get ourselves to that final for the FA Cup now. Crystal Palace will be a difficult game. There'll still be a lot of, mentality-wise, there'll be a lot of still stuff within those players, I'm sure, from last night's performances that go into Sunday. But, just have to try and get that out of the system now and just try and go on and crack on and get some silverware for the end of this season. But, yeah, bad performance over the 2 legs. I think if we done better in the first leg, took our chances a bit more in the second leg, I think we obviously we go through. That's just how that's just how it is. But last night, I honestly can't fault any of those players that played 90 minutes of the game. I thought all of them, had a role to play. They played it well. They done what they needed to do. It's just a shame that, like I said, you play 120 minutes and it is cruel. It's the cruelest way for me, bar penalties, to go out of a competition. So, yeah, it's disheartening, but we have to pick ourselves up and look forward to Sunday. Of course, like I said earlier, please subscribe to the channel. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments as well about last night's performance. Let me know who played well, who didn't play well, who was at fault, who was your man of the match as well. And yeah, let's look forward to Sunday. Big game, Crystal Palace, Wembley, FA Cup. This has been T.Dot. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you listen to episode 59 From the Shed End podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcast as well. And I'll be back next week with another video, hopefully a bit more upbeat than this video. Thanks very much for watching.